our show, Dil Se Expertise. Plan a good holiday. Founders of LTM, Let's Talk Money. Specific life goals. And we have guests on our show who are experts in the field. There's a lot more. Thank you so much for coming for our show today. And welcome to one more exclusive interview on our Dil Se Expertise show. So those were little clippings from shows that we did before the lockdown, and now we make good with whatever we have. So if we haven't met, my name is Bhuvna Sriram. I'm a certified financial planner, wealth manager, video blogger, teacher, and mom of a 12-year-old. I'm the founder, CEO of Plan to Prosper. We're a professional financial planning and wealth management company. At Plan to Prosper, we help working professionals set inspiring life goals, make smart money decisions, pay off loans faster, send their kids to colleges abroad, retire early, and spend time and energy on what matters most to them. We are based out of Thane. We are a team of 6 qualified and committed professionals, and we work with over 130 clients all over the world. And since the lockdown began, this is our 4th show. So we've been trying to bring to our audience experts from fields related to finance, and this is an attempt to provide very relevant, useful inputs on various money-related matters so that we can all together navigate these uncertain times, avoid mistakes, take smart money decisions, progress, and prosper. We've had an amazing lineup of guests on our shows every week. On week 1, we had Mandar Zalkikar, who discussed loans, moratoriums, how to be smart and get the best deals, how to repay loans faster, and more. On week 2, we had the most eloquent and witty Amit Trivedi talk about equity markets, debt investments, should you enter now, exit now, and his point stories and examples kept us super engaged. Week 3, we had Aladok, advocate, who shared with us importance of succession planning, the nitty-gritties of writing a good will. We discussed succession laws, execution of wills, family settlements, gift deeds. He answered all the questions patiently and gave us a beautiful session. This week, we have the effervescent Dr. Sudha Srikanth. So I have to give you a little background. I was introduced to Sudha ma'am, as she's fondly called, as an emotional intelligence coach for my son. So he plays tennis and has huge anger management issues. He would throw the racket, pick up fights with the opponent, with the referee, get warnings, lose from winning positions and all that. Sudha ma'am single-handedly worked patiently with him for almost over a year, helping him navigate his own emotions. Thanks to her efforts, my son's on-court behavior has improved tremendously, and he won back-to-back tournaments just before the lockdown. Needless to say, it was big confidence and morale booster to all of us. Now, having given this background during this recent market meltdown and lockdown, I've been observing different kind of client emotions and behaviors, right? Anger, frustration, fear, and motivated by it all kind of irrational self-harming behaviors. So this is not the first time markets are falling. We've seen this in the past. We'll see them again in the future. And every time those investors who keep calm, stay emotionally balanced, and behave in a composed manner, make smart money decisions and end up richer. So I thought, why not? While we are struggling to make sense of what is happening outside, we can't make sense of what's happening outside. What if we try and make sense of what is happening inside? So here we have Dr. Sudha Srikanth. She is a doctorate in human development from SNDT University, and she works closely in the area of enhancing emotional intelligence in children, teachers, parents, youth, and professionals. She's received her certificate in emotional intelligence through 6 Seconds India. She's a member of the Institute of Coaching at Harvard Medical School, Boston, and she's a director of programs, innovations, and promotion at Equipoise Training. Learning. She's a master trainer and chief facilitator as well, and has been part of the team since inception. Her passion and commitment to the area of EI provided her a chance to co-present a paper at Nexus EQ conference at Harvard University. She's the board of studies member at SVT College and SNDT Women's University. She's been involved in providing guidance in the field of early education, childhood education for over 2 decades now. She has co-founded Little Steps Nursery and Daycare Center at Thane, which she has been running for the same, running the same for over 18 years now. We're so happy to have you here on the show, ma'am. Thank you for agreeing to be here. And so I'm looking forward to an exceptional session with you. So just to give you like a quick background, so I spoke quite a bit, gave you a long background, but too many things have happened in, very fast in the last 2 months. 2 months back looks like 2 decades back, right? Suddenly there is a life-threatening virus, then livelihood-threatening lockdown, then there is domestic challenges, there's no maid, there's work from home, work for home, kids have to be engaged, and work doesn't seem to end at all. I'm actually struggling to figure out what is really happening. I seem to be totally drifting. Days come, days go. I can feel it all simmering somewhere, but I'm very worried for my blood pressure. Ma'am, do you have any thoughts on this situation? I'm sure this is what most of our other viewers are going through too. So what's happening to us?
Firstly, Bhuvana, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity and welcoming me over here and saying all those kind words. I'm truly humbled and blessed. And good evening to all the listeners and those who are participating for this session. Well, to the question that you put forth, the thought. With all this that is happening, Bhuvana, have you ever given a thought that what are you feeling? If I were to ask you, what are you feeling? Would you be able to just sum it up as a one word and just tell what are you feeling?
What am I feeling, or how am I feeling?
Both.
I don't know.
Because what would probably give you just one word, how would describe it? So if I were to just ask you to pinpoint and say, just give one word to the thoughts or to the feelings that you have, so what would it be?
I don't know.
This is precisely the point, See,
I think I'm frustrated. I don't know. I am feeling sometimes frustrated. Okay. Right now, excited for this session, of course.
Yeah. So at this moment would be excited, but otherwise it really took some time to immediately answer what that word is. And very often whenever we pose this question to people, it can be like often even adults, the answer that we get is theek hai, okay, good, or they say nice. Some people go to the extent of saying surviving. Yeah, so it is like somewhere down the line, I think we have disconnected with our feelings, and we've stopped really looking inward and being precise with what exactly we are feeling.
How does it matter, ma'am?
You may be surprised to know that most of our the problems that we are hearing about today, whether it is violence or whether it is the stress or whether it is inability to cope and so many other behavioral issues in children also that we are addressing these days, has an emotional base to it.
I'm sure, but now that you're asking me, so you're asking me how I'm feeling, right? How does it matter? How
does it matter? Well, I'll just give you a little information and even our audience and information about what is the paradigm shift about emotions. We hardly know anything about emotions. Through our growing years, we've always been told that, keep emotions out of the room, stay focused, logical thinking, pay attention, and concentrate. Now, if we go back to Plato's words of every education, every learning has an emotional base. So that is where we are, and we've disconnected with that. And what happens is emotions are primal. They are there in our body in the form of neuropeptides. Okay, they give us a message. So it's a wake-up call that something is happening within. Please identify what it is. Please recognize what it is. And
Mhm.
because we we have a very emotional vocabulary, we fail to connect with our emotions. We rarely recognize our emotions. And by then, what happens, the nature of emotion is that it increases in intensity when it is not addressed, when it is not acknowledged. So, whenever there is a positive emotion or a pleasant emotion, I would rather put it that way. So, things are very fine. But when things don't go on well, like in the situation that we are facing now, so there is that irritation, there is annoyance, there is, it leads to anger if we do not pay attention to it. That anger swells up even more to frustration, and then we find ourselves in exploding situations very, very often. Have you
Uh,
found at home?
yeah.
You heard your friends or contacts or your team members speak about it that way?
Yeah. So and you're talking about bottling up the emotions and not talking about.
Exactly, exactly. So what happens is when we do not name the emotion,
Mhm.
we cannot tame it. And there's a very interesting study which talks about name the emotions to tame them.
Name the emotion to tame them.
Name it, yeah, name it to tame.
Name it to tame it. Okay.
Yeah, and when we are able to recognize that emotion, when we are able to will after identifying it, it is proven, scientifically proven, that the intensity of the feeling of the emotion lowers. And if
Really?
not address it, it is going to increase in intensity. So
You're
the
saying by simply naming it.
yeah, just naming it.
Help me understand this
Yeah,
better.
okay, great. So if think of a situation that at home maybe that you had got a little irritated about something. Can you
Okay.
just share such an instance where you had got a little irritated?
Yeah. Right now, if my son opens the door and comes in, I'll be irritated.
Yeah, and if you do not address it, like how will you respond? What will you tell him? What would your reaction be? Immediate reaction.
Immediate will be get out right now.
So it's like jumped so fast.
Yeah.
Okay, in the sense, even if suppose let's say he just knocking, he just barges in and there is that block in the way.
Mm.
Okay, that is what anger is telling us. That is what irritation or annoyance is telling, that there is a block in the way. You need to do something about it. You need to get whatever is there in the way out of it. So that is the message that anger is giving us.
Okay.
And we do not pay attention to the anger. We focus more on the action, we focus more on the behavior,
Mhm.
and do not, we like sort of bypass what the feelings are. And whenever feelings are bypassed, there is a hijack situation. And this is called an amygdala hijack.
Amygdala hijack.
Hijack. So it means like you, because of that anger, because you are exploding, that reaction is so much that you just blurt out something, or maybe bang the door, or maybe you just told, get out. And
Mm.
he may not even know why he is being asked to go out. So you are exploding without addressing your anger, which is rising from within. And to add to that, if at all there is some technical glitch that happens
Mm.
the session, if at all, so it just adds even more to what is happening. So all
Correct.
this just sort of accumulates, and the
Mm.
cumulative effort of it is what one explodes. And
Mm.
very interestingly, I would like to share that our body gives us the information. Our body
Body.
tells us. Our body gives us the information. Our body tells us that we are angry. Can you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how do you think we notice that? When you're angry, what happens?
Um, your. I think the face becomes red.
Yeah.
Getting hot near the ear.
Yes, absolutely. What
Voice
else?
quivering.
What what
Just
happens to your tone of the voice?
the pitch increases.
And what happens to your heart rate?
Huh. So out of the window.
Out of the window. So it gallops, or it's just a super express train. And to control that, we are not even, very often people talk about controlling. We are not even talking about controlling. Here, whatever our body is showing us or indicating to us, these are the feeling fingerprints of anger. Did you even know that?
Feeling fingerprints of anger. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying different emotions have different feeling fingerprints? Is that how it?
Absolutely, absolutely. Now think of a situation now because of this lockdown, there is a lot of anxiety, there's a
Yeah.
lot of uncertainty,
Yeah.
there's a lot of helplessness.
Yeah.
And I'm sure so many people in this audience will say that, aren't we all overburdened?
Yeah. That is right. Yes. We are overburdened. That's the word.
And we
Yeah.
do not connect with these words. And when we do not connect with these words, what happens is everything just keeps piling on, so much so then suddenly there is one doom at home. Okay, because when I say doom, it's more of a hijacked situation where there is a reaction. It's not a thought of expression. And then you feel, you probably regret that statement that you may have said. And all this happens because we have not named our emotion.
We have not named our emotion.
So I was
Correct.
just trying to explain to you the name it to tame it. So the minute, even if we are overburdened, so just take a pause, recognize that emotion, and it's like self-talk and tell yourself, I notice that I'm really, really overburdened. And I feel so helpless. That's so much of work that I need to do. I have to manage the house. I have to get onto a conference call and, just manage everything, everything, everything. I really wonder when this is going to end. So there is that hope also. It can be anticipation. So many feeling words that are there. The minute we start expanding our emotional vocabulary, the easier it is for us to start managing those emotions.
Interesting. So you say there is a huge emotional vocabulary. I mean,
Absolutely. What if I were to tell you, and this is the a fact that if things would have been okay and the lockdown would not have happened, my son's wedding was scheduled for tomorrow.
oh my God.
And today we would have been at the reception welcoming guests. So it's not been easy. And
Yeah.
like for us, I don't think it's been easy for many of us, or most of us, or all of us.
Correct.
It is, how can we uh, manage our emotions in such a way that understanding the message and the wisdom that each of these emotions are giving us, how can we choose to go to a more pleasant space? When I say pleasant, how can we come to a more calmer zone? Calm as in peace of mind.
Mm-hmm.
That happens once you're aware of your emotions, once you're aware what you're feeling from within, you name it, you label it, you recognize all the feeling fingerprints and label it. Talk about it maybe to somebody whom
How
you
are you feeling right now that your son's wedding is about to be?
now I have accepted, because I have accepted it. So I'm very comfortable. And right now, if you ask me how I'm feeling, I'm very involved in the discussion. I'm feeling very involved in this setup right now. So that's not really bothering me. And because it has been addressed,
Okay.
not been addressed, I would have been probably brooding over it and saying, see, it did not happen. Why did it have to happen to me? And, so with the acknowledgement of the emotions of that of sadness, that of helplessness, that of, so many things that go with it, all that was addressed. I was able to navigate through the emotions, through the tide of emotions at that point of time.
Oh my God.
and
Oh my,
I'm able to talk to you.
oh my God, this is terrible to call off a wedding, right? I mean, it's a lot of effort to put one together,
Yeah.
and
And
yeah.
also, when you're talking about financial planning, and I mean, that's what, majorly is your work area. Like, so much of funds have gone into it. We had done all advance payments for the hall and for the caterer and for everything and everything and everything.
I'm sure.
And
I'm sure.
it's stuck. So,
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I like this idea of naming it to taming it, right? So name it, and you're saying there are many different names that we can give the same emotion. I mean, it came to me suddenly when you said you're actually overburdened. I mean, I was thinking I was probably just frustrated or angry or feeling helpless, but I think you're overburdened is probably
yeah,
the right word.
overburdened when probably you have too much of tasks to accomplish, or it can be you're overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed. Yeah, yeah.
So that's another word that I think many of us would be feeling at this point of time.
Okay, interesting. So you say one technique that we can use to, overcome a very strong emotion or a negative emotion is to find the right word to explain it. Now, what if we don't know the word? Is there a dictionary that we can look up or something?
Oh yes, there is. In fact, we at Equip Kids, we do have almost 3,000 words, a collection of words. I can share with you even the feeling words vocabulary. It's just that
Oh,
right now, Bhuvana, we all seem to be constipated with feeling words. We
mm,
don't know, and we as adults don't know. So just imagine we are role modeling for our children.
mm, mm, mm.
And very often, as parents, we just tell them about good boy and good girl.
Ah,
We always speak about, even if a child is crying,
yeah.
we say, "Chalo chalo, abhi rona dhona band. Chalo, show your smiling face," and we feel uncomfortable with unpleasant emotions.
Mm, 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 mm. No, type that it's interesting the way you're talking about naming to tame it. But while we are at talking about children, while this is not related to money, I just want to take a few minutes because you are focused on children related education. I do see a few names of parents of children here. So now children are spending a lot of time with us now,
Yeah.
and I mean, although my relationship with my child has improved tremendously, I'm thankful for it. I'm a little concerned about this clinginess that I see. Once the lockdown is open, will he stay clingy? Will he be okay to go? Will I be okay to let go? So how do we navigate this? I don't want to spend too much time, but if you can quickly tell me what should we expect, and how do we go about that?
Okay. One thing there are skills in emotional intelligence that we talk about, which is namely first what we just discussed about is the emotional literacy, and we also spoke about the emotion management. Now,
Mm,
emotion management in self is very, very important. And why do I say that? Even though we are talking about, children's feelings and they become intense, but first it is that our feelings are also intense.
mm. Yeah, our
So,
feelings are also intense.
yeah, so when we are being emotion coaches to our children, we need to wear the oxygen mask first. Okay,
We
it's
need
like
to.
you are traveling in the aircraft, and the cabin crew gives you this information that in case of an emergency, the oxygen masks will drop down. You wear the oxygen masks first before you help others. So that's the logic that we would use over here too. And just for giving information to the audience, that when emotions are moving, they are going to move from mild to intense, even
Mm,
if you're not going to pay attention to it. But if you pay attention to it, you're aiming it to tame it. So
mm,
just giving that time span, if I ask you in your wildest dreams to guess, how long do you think it takes for the emotions to rise or to increase and to escalate from mild to intense? Just asking you this question.
any emotion, is it positive, negative?
See, largely a positive emotion, even if it escalates, it's like giving us a feel good factor. So it is still okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
and we don't mind staying in that space for a longer time. But what happens about the negative or the emotion which makes you feel negative or
So
unpleasant?
you want to know from the moment
What is
I
the
get
duration?
irritated
Duration.
to
How
the
long do
moment
you
I give my son one slap, how long does it take? So maybe, yeah, 10 seconds, or is that 10, 15 seconds?
Okay, I'll just tell you this. It's a magic, okay, magic that we have to remember. And I think it's for all of us to remember that it just takes a window period of 6 to 8 seconds.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. I was
Okay?
close. Okay.
For the flood of neuropeptides, which happens
Uh-huh,
in our body,
uh-huh,
from brain, entire, the full body, feeling fingerprints are felt throughout the body.
uh-huh.
So if we, all that takes just 6 to 8 seconds from the trigger. Okay.
From the trigger point to the escalation point,
Absolutely.
6 to 8
So
seconds. Okay.
6 to 8 seconds. After that, it can even if the trigger is removed, the stimulus
Mhm,
is removed,
mhm,
still feel that way
mhm,
simply because
mhm.
our thoughts keep on allowing us to feel that way, and the re-escalation happens, and then it goes on for the whole day. You may sit feeling morose for the whole day. You may sit grumpy.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that
I know.
6 to 8 seconds, if it is managed well, it
Okay,
really helps.
okay.
Now, managing these emotions, the 6 to 8 seconds, the window period, is a technique.
Oh, it's a technique. Okay,
Is a technique, and we all need to practice it basically. So,
okay,
some people, I'm just giving you examples. Some people may opt to breathe deeply.
okay. Yeah,
So, you can actually take long, deep breaths.
okay.
And once you do that, you are calming your body, but
Mm.
that you do after you recognize that emotion and label it.
So name it and then take deep breaths.
Yeah, name it. So you're taming it and then take those deep breaths. Means at least that window period you've managed well.
Okay.
See, very often our grandmoms very often would say, अरे गुस्सा इतना आता है तो एक तो पानी पी लो नहीं तो काउंटिंग करो. So they would say count, count 10 तक गिनती करो.
Right.
Now, imagine yourself to be in that angry space just now. Think that, your son comes from behind and, just barges open the door. And then you have to count. How would you count?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I
It
mean,
would be much faster than this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10.
I know, I think so.
So
Yeah.
what happens is that window period has not been occupied well. So that technique doesn't work. And very often we feel that, are counting kiya, nothing happened. Because it takes just about 2.5 to 3 seconds when we do that
Those
count.
techniques don't work. So you just write them off saying, no, the test technique doesn't work.
So it is about how we engage ourselves for that 6 seconds, 6 to 8 seconds,
Okay.
calm ourselves down. And once the neuropeptides are actually settled, because emotions are there in the form of neuropeptides in our body. So once this flood subsides, what happens is we are able to think more clearly and think more effectively, because there are multiple options and we're able to choose better options.
Those better options. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And isn't that very important
Oh, of course it is.
that we need to make right decisions?
Yeah. I agree. I agree with making when you're calm, the options at least come in front of you. They just appear in front of you. Where you are thinking of no, there is no other option. But when you're calmer, various options come right in front of you. But you didn't still answer. How do we manage this transition when children how do we let go of them once the lockdown is?
So, yeah. So, first is what I have done is just addressing to your feeling first.
My feelings.
Yeah. Because first is that. Then, when you are dealing with a child who's clingy, you have to validate the child's feeling. And
Okay.
what would your immediate response, general response or reaction be? Rishi, just go do your work, give me some time.
Yeah.
How many times you're clinging on to me?
Yeah.
You just leave me alone.
Yeah, leave me alone. Correct.
Yeah. So these are things, but the child really wants to be with you.
Yeah.
So how do you validate that feeling? So what do we mean by validating is that you are addressing how the child is feeling. So how is the child feeling when he wants to sit next to you? He wants to spend more time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Looks like, Rishi, looks like you really are liking the fact that mama is working from home, isn't
Mm.
it? So
Yeah.
the minute your child hears this, what do you think is as against Rishi, go, why don't you do your work?
Huh.
Are you seeing the difference? So you are validating the emotion. You're now recognizing the emotion in your child,
Okay.
helping him label it if he cannot label it,
Yeah.
and you're finding it a time for intimacy,
Yeah. Yeah.
time where you can bond, a time where you can be patient with unpleasant emotion of the child.
I think this is very interesting. So, I mean, even if we take that 2-3 seconds to tell him, looks like you want to spend some time with me. I agree, or I mean, I acknowledge it. I appreciate it. But can we do this later?
So that can we do that later will come towards the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
So by then, what happens is even the child's excitement, because the child is excited. So you're validating that excitement. Or if he is grumpy and crying and coming to you for a solution, then even at that time you're validating it and saying, looks like something really bothering you.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
So instead of asking, what happened?
What happened? Okay.
See, very often we ask a question, or
Yeah.
very often we just give an advice, or we disapprove of the way the child is feeling,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
or we just dismiss it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think this is making a lot of sense. So if we just take those extra 2-3 seconds to just acknowledge, looks like something is troubling you, looks like something is bothering you, looks like you need some time with me, right? So that's like, I mean, I appreciate that. I think that's like great value add. And yeah, the clinginess can be addressed. So getting back to money and investments, because that's like the theme around here. As much as we tell our clients that this is for the long term, do not worry. Markets have fallen and most portfolios are bleeding. I mean, as much as we tell them, it doesn't really agree. So that fear of losing money, that uncertainty is troubling people, and the immediate instinct is to call the advisor and shout at them. Shout at them. And it's part of the job. I'm not complaining about it, but I'm saying that's like an immediate reaction. Some of them do have advisors and financial planners. They can shout it and get it out, but many of them don't even have anybody to talk to. In these circumstances, how should investors respond? How can they ensure that they don't do something that will hurt them in the long run? I know this is probably not only about investments, anything for that matter. When you're hyper and you might hurt yourself in the long run, the naming, taming, but all these applies to us. But how do we help them in that process? I mean, I can't like get on that call and tell them, now you're probably feeling fearful, can you name it? So that doesn't work. Now what should I do?
Okay, I would just go a few steps, going to the situation when an investor calls up. Investor is at a level of explode.
Yeah.
So first thing what you need to do is, it's also about you building a good relationship with that investor.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need to validate what that person is feeling.
Validate what that person is feeling.
So again, what we did, the dealing with feelings with the child, we are going to do dealing with feelings with this investor. So yeah. So looks like the Corona times or the COVID times has really made life extremely challenging for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the minute, if you were to tell me as an investor, and when I'm first time, shouting and bombarding and exploding, and you just let me know this, it just gives me that little solace. It gives me little soothing. It's like comforting. Okay. And I'm sure even your investors know that you can't do, I mean, the lockdown is for you as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that explosion would happen. So how does one validate? How does one deal with their feelings? And that's important, especially when you need your clientele, when you need to build and keep that relationship with your people. It can be your team, it can be with the investors. And come back to what the investors would be feeling and how do they cope with this. Well, we have a very interesting technique that we share with the participants and with people in general, and this is called the RAIN technique.
Okay.
Okay, the RAIN technique. So it's can I have a slide share of the RAIN technique so that all our audience would be able to see it. Now, what is this RAIN technique? Whatever we've been talking about in terms of recognizing the emotion or labeling the emotion, that is all put together in the first part, the RAIN. Okay, when we say RAIN technique. So the abbreviation RAIN. R stands for recognize how you're feeling.
Okay. Recognize how you're feeling.
Recognize how you're feeling. So whatever we spoke about, the name it to tame it, that happens in that space where you're identifying whatever the emotion. It may not be one emotion. It may be a mixed bag of emotions. Okay. So whenever the intensity, when any of us are in those intense moments, we can use the RAIN technique. So R stands for recognize how you're feeling. And you're taking fingerprints, your body is going to identify and tell whether it is anxiety, whether it is frustration, whether it is sadness, whether it is uncertainty, or whether it is, you feel that you're doomed. Whatever is the feeling, the R is going to help us identify the feeling and you're going to label it. Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. So when things feel too much and we are overburdened, first recognize what is going on. Once you know, you're looking around and seeing what is happening within yourself. In A, allow and acknowledge your feelings. By allowing yourself to acknowledge the feelings, it means you're embracing the way you feel and you're not keeping the emotions out of the window. Because where are these emotions? They are all there within ourselves. So we need to validate the emotions ourselves. So allow you to experience, each one of us has to allow ourselves to experience no matter what that emotion is. Because all the emotions are they have a wisdom, okay, they have a message, and they are a wake-up call. And
they have a wake-up call.
Wake-up call. So it's like an alarm, it keeps telling us that something is going wrong, something is going wrong. So it's giving a message. Are we able to decode that message? So A, allow yourself to feel that emotion and say it is okay to feel that way. So not only acknowledging it, you're also accepting yourself to say it is okay to feel that way.
It's okay to feel angry. It's okay
to feel any of these emotions, even if it is anger, even if it is frustration.
Yeah.
Now, the minute you say that, don't you feel that you've taken a sigh of relief?
Yeah. It's okay to feel angry. Yeah.
So it's okay. It's okay. So you feel accepted. And one more thing I would just like to add that, these emotions are like, it's like in a classroom, how when children are wanting to say something, it is their hand, right? They want to talk.
Yeah.
They want to talk. Teacher, teacher, teacher,
Yeah.
Even these emotions are like that within us, and they are saying, hey, listen to me, hey, listen to me, hey, listen to me.
Okay. Yeah.
And if you're not going to listen, they're going to increase in intensity, and then things go a little beyond.
Yeah.
So,
okay, interesting. That's an interesting analogy.
Yeah. To experience it, acknowledge it, embrace it, so that you feel better.
Okay.
Then investigate what your thoughts are, and what are emotions doing, like what is it making you feel, what is it making the whole atmosphere around feel. What are my thoughts? Pay attention to the thoughts. Am I wondering about how I'm going to pay my EMIs? Am I wondering how am I going to I'm not sure I'm going to get my salary, or how do I pay for the fees of the children? How do I cope up at this time? So all those, just investigate and see what your thoughts are telling you.
Okay.
You catch all those thoughts. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever the thoughts are, because we keep having so many thoughts in the day, so you keep catching those thoughts, and just pay attention to those thoughts as well. What is it making you feel? So
What is making you feel that way?
yeah,
Okay.
so like investigate, and
Yep.
finally, what is the goal? What is it that you want? You want to feel better, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the goal. So
Yeah.
then N is non-identify with the experience. Here it means that don't attach yourself and hold yourself to that emotion. Let go.
Okay.
Allow the
Let.
thoughts also to go, and don't be attached and hold on to what you're thinking about or what you're feeling. So allow yourself to transition from that state and move on. Because if we look back, any adversity that we have had, we've not stayed onto that adversity. Things have changed.
I think the last part is going to be the most difficult, right? So you're saying that I recognize that I'm angry.
खा रहे हो तो मैं खा
It's
लूंगा
okay
रोटी,
to
नहीं खा
feel
रहे हो तो
angry,
छोड़ दो.
and I think I'm angry because something is
मैं
not
खा
working
लूंगा.
the right way. And then what do? I don't understand the non-identify.
Yeah, so don't hold on to it. You cannot say, oh, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling overburdened, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that. So don't hold yourself and attach yourself to that. So the non-attachment is that you're transitioning to a different state as well.
Mhm.
After you've acknowledged it, you're letting go of that emotion. You're letting go and saying, okay, you've given me this message, you've allowed me, you're showing me this path at this particular point of time. And then now I'm feeling a lot better. And okay, so it's like the non-identity or the attachment. So don't hold on and get attached to that emotion.
Let it go.
Let it go. So it even like, like balloons, how they just fly off. So maybe
Yeah.
you can put your thoughts into each of the balloons and allow them to fly.
Right. Oh, okay.
It's like even if a roller coaster is coming, so instead
Okay.
of taking a roller coaster, just
I
step,
like that balloon and then fly, Okay.
or just step back and
Okay.
just allow it to go.
Love it to go. Oh,
So
it is
then,
interesting.
so then
Yeah.
it is like, then the saying is that this too shall pass.
This too shall pass.
So this
Yeah.
is
Instead of jumping to saying this too shall pass, you're saying go through recognizing, allowing, investigating, and then say let. Then it's probably more likely that you actually let go.
hang
Right?
on.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
what happens is you've allowed yourself to transition. And if it was just let go, then this feeling is brewing inside.
Huh.
And the more
Yeah.
it grows, it's going to overflow sometime. Or the other.
Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of self-talking that we have to do. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay. Self-talking. So talk the right things also, right? Don't talk right.
Yeah.
Interesting. So we have one question from Geeta. She's asking, emotions depend on the way we think. How to use emotions to direct thinking? So she's saying thinking, feeling, relationship. I think that's what she wants to talk about.
Okay. So there's again something very
अरे
interesting.
रेगुलर होना पड़ता है ये थोड़ा
for
एक
us, to understand that thoughts and feelings are interconnected. Okay.
Thoughts and feelings are interconnected.
Okay. And earlier, like there were people who would believe, or one set of psychologists would believe that thoughts happen first, and another would believe that emotions occur first. But the latest study shows that both of them happen simultaneously.
Okay.
So it is very, very important for us to be aware. When I be emotionally self-aware, so it encompasses your feelings, giving it a name, and also addressing your thoughts. What are the thoughts like? So being aware and being conscious of the moment, being present to the present.
Being present to the present. That's
Being
very
conscious to the present. Being mindful to the present.
It's very interesting what you're telling me. So you're saying the thinking and the feeling happen at the same time, but you can address the feeling by thinking, right? Because you're feeling angry, but then you're thinking about the rain process and then using your brain to actually influence the feeling.
Oh, absolutely. So that is why, in fact, when we say we cannot have emotion separate and intelligence separate.
Okay.
Emotional intelligence, which is actually the missing piece.
Actually, the mistake.
Even in the education, it's the missing piece. So we focused over the years, we focused so much on the intelligence part of it that we've forgotten what the emotions are telling us. And they are the prime, like nature. I mean, us human beings by nature are, if we see the way we were born or developed, it is across the nerve cell. It is first the feeling brain, emotional brain that is developed, and then only it is the gray matter or the thinking.
Yeah.
Are we connected to those spaces?
Yeah. Connected to those spaces. I don't know, Geeta, I hope that answered your question about thinking and feeling and emotions and how to use. So what Sudha ma'am is saying, as I hear, is you don't use emotions to direct thinking, you use thinking to direct your emotions, and then.
No, I would still say that emotions are giving you a cue. So they're
giving you a cue.
Simultaneously. So the minute you know how you feel about it, okay, the minute you know how you feel about it, you're able to sort of manage the intensity. The thoughts are clearer. And
absolutely. That makes sense.
Your best option, which is there in front of you.
Choose the best option.
So we cannot really segregate them and bypass one for the other. Both are required. It is how you balance it, as long as you balance it.
As long as you balance it. Yeah. So I mean, while we are at it, anger and fear and uncertainty, those are those are feelings that have an immediate blow, right? There are other feelings that are slow, right? There are other feelings. Let me give you an example. Guilt. Okay, it's not something that blows, but I'll tell you what. So as financial advisors, we'll suggest some things to our clients, and if it's not going too well for our clients, or we see our client portfolio in the negative, and we know, I don't know, if we're just feeling guilty about it. So I told him to do it. He did it. Look at what happened to his portfolio. We go through it ourselves. At that point in time, it was the right thing to do, but things panned out like this, and you go through it yourself. It's not something that blows up, but it just eats you from within, right? So how do you manage a slower emotion like guilt?
Like guilt.
Guilt, yeah.
Guilt.
Yeah, it's not coming out as something that's explosive, or I'm not going to go out and hit out at somebody. That's not the issue. It's slowly there. It's slowly.
But you know what? Guilt can eat you from within.
Yeah.
You don't have to explode from out, but it can corrode you from within if you don't address it.
And the 6 seconds doesn't work, right? That 6-second thing, it doesn't work. It's not an intense emotion.
It's not intense as an outward, but it is definitely intense as an inward. Okay. Mm-hmm. And guilt builds up over a period of time. It is not a spontaneous feeling that, immediately, because it's going to be there for some time. So even at that time, just assume that there is a situation that has happened which has made you feel guilty. Okay. So you need to address that. And if you're able to catch that feeling as guilt, like you've identified based on your feeling fingerprints that you're feeling guilty, it is how guilty you are feeling.
How guilty you are feeling.
Guilty. So if we are going to rate it in a thermometer, in a feeling thermometer, on a scale of 0 to 10,
okay,
how guilty are you? Are you guilty at 10 or are you guilty at 1?
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
If it's just guilty at 1, means it is theek hai. I mean, it's not not such a major thing that has gone, totally haywire. But if you're feeling guilty again at 8 or 9, it means you're really, really guilty about something that happened. So I'm extremely guilty about the way I dealt with the situation. I ought not to have spoken that way, or I ought not to have So even then, the 6-second pause will work.
The rain technique will work.
The deep breathing will work at that time. And then, okay, I think I need to do something about it. What are the options that are there in front of me? What all can I do? So list down those options,
Mm.
then choose which is your best option. Again, rating whichever is the best.
Wow.
Plan to see,
Wow.
to do that particular option, take it forward because you've selected it. Because the selection comes after you envisage the outcome of each of the choices that you've made. And once you think that you've chosen to make amends,
Yeah.
you work towards that and then plan for action. And still after that you notice that the guilt is still there, then
Yeah.
you again have to come back to that step where you are envisaging different options, and maybe you will have to again do it.
Okay.
Because what happens is guilt, and especially if it is a very deep rooted guilt that is there, and you want this relationship means a lot to you with your let's say client. So it's like deeper the wound, the longer it will take for the relationship or for the guilt to get better. So we need to give that time.
So whatever the emotion are, explosive, non-explosive, it's important to recognize it, acknowledge it, allow it, investigate it, and non-identify it. I like it because I think acknowledging it will give us more options, and that's brilliant. Now I have a question from Mr. Khanna. He says, EQ, like how we measure IQ, can EQ be measured? Is there a science behind it? So we talk about emotional quotient being the X factor and all that. So is there a science behind measuring EQ?
Yes, there is. See, EI is emotional intelligence and EQ is emotion quotient, the quotient. So when we say quotient, it is a number. So definitely EQ can be measured, and this can be measured from for children as well over the age of 7 years. There are validated and reliable tools available. When we our institute, we do the EQ testing, and we find out, depending on whichever tool we use, if it is a Baron scale. So there's again a short form and a long form for it. And age wise, we get the score, that is, children in the age group of 7 to 9, and then, you have 9 to 11, then 12 onwards. So, so that way we are able to measure the EQ of the children. And they are against the skills like intrapersonal skills, interpersonal skills, stress management, adaptability, and overall EQ. And being it's a questionnaire on a Likert scale where there are 4 options, and it is a self-reporting that the children do. So they're supposed to circle the option that is true of them. So often we may wonder that, बच्चे हैं, whether they are doing it correctly or not. So if a child, for whatever reason, is just ranking himself on the higher scores, thinking that I'm going to get a better score. So we come to know that it's a false positive and it is not okay. So we are able to catch the catch the like those children who've not been able to answer truthfully, not, I won't say really truthfully. I mean, it's just that, sometimes, they get.
No, I know the race we put them on. So, I mean,
So we are able to identify. What I'm saying is these tools are all tried and tested, all with developed with scientific approach. Then we also have our own tests that we do at the Equip Kids Center. Then there is the 6 seconds test, which happens. You have the profiling done even for the corporates. You have the brain brief profile, and you have the brain talent. So even if you're working with a team, you can find out who is the planner, who is the visionary, who is the person who is more of action oriented. So all that you get to know when you're working in a team. So very often we are able to strengthen the strengths So those who already have those strengths, you can work on that and give them those responsibilities which they are good at.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of testings, and we do it at our center too. So you can reach out to us.
Excellent, thank you. So I think that was pretty interesting. So I mean, as we go through these uncertain times, these difficult situations, keeping that centeredness, keeping that emotional balance is very, very important. So what would you recommend for all of us, as you know, if you have some quick tips or quick takeaways, what would you recommend that we do?
See, at this time, more so like during the lockdown time, this is something that we need to really, really practice. We need to maintain our schedules. It's not that just because we've shifted to an online mode that our schedule goes for a toss. So to actually keep our mind healthy, our body healthy, and there is this very interesting healthy mind platter, and as it looks really, really very wholesome for our mental wellness. So if we start with, let's say, the sleep time, so we need to get at least 7 hours of undisturbed sleep, where it can include even the resting part of it. So rest, sleep together. So when we wake up in the morning, we feel fresh. There needs to be that physical time where it can be either a yoga, or it can be some workout, or it can be anything to do with the physical fitness, where some time is dedicated to that. Then the focus time would be obviously our work time, when we are focused on whatever needs to be done more with the cognitive angle, where there is more of, let's say, assimilation of knowledge, or the working hours that we can say. There is the focused time. Of course, it's also given us time to connect. There are, even though it may mean to connect at a virtual platform, you can just call up a friend whom you've been meaning to call for a very long time, but because of your busy schedules, you're not able to. So now is the time when you can, reach back to your university friends, your childhood friends, family. So it's not only people living outside the home, it is people within the home. Sometimes we would have only dads coming in, where the children would see them only over the weekends. So now is the time when you're actually connecting with your family members, spending some quality time. And then, of course, we have the play time. In the connecting time, again, it can be great conversations. You can have board games. You can have the fun times, antakshari. So many of those times can be there. Then, of course, playtime is where more of leisure. Okay, if you want to pursue something in dance, you want to pursue something in music, or you're playing an instrument and you've not had time for that, this is the time where you can give that time slot for that. A downtime would be where maybe you're just sitting and not doing anything.
I like that.
Maybe you're just looking out of the window, you're just stargazing, and just
Look
there.
at the fan go round and round and round.
You don't have to do everything, something or the other all the time, right? Because, and this is a very important tip, especially for parents, because they think that the children have to be engaged all the time. And a child, they're like literally making them jump from one class to another. And this is not pertaining to only the lockdown time, more so even regularly, where they are hopping from one class to another. And children have, like, sort of, they just want time for themselves. So a downtime even can be when they're just not doing anything. And of course, time in would be a time for reflection, time for inward journey, time for finding out, like, what is it that I want? What are my wishes? What are my wants? What is it that I want out of life? So many of the reflective mode. So you can spend that time for that, time in for the inward journey, to evolve as a better person, because definitely the lockdown is also a time which is telling us stop, think, and
We should just find time to do some of these along with mopping and cleaning and doing vegetables. Right?
Yeah, see, even when you're doing mopping, you can actually if you want to listen to music, just, put on your headphones, and
Time.
mopping can be in style.
Yeah. Sure, of course, and
Again,
connecting, make it the play. Yeah, you do that room, I do this room. Yeah, I mean, I think that's
oh,
amazing.
of course. And then it is also about delegating responsibilities. See, when we started the conversation, we said that sometimes we are really overburdened. Why do we feel overburdened? Because we think that we've taken it all on us, and that is, we are shouldering all the responsibilities, and we think we have to do it all. But it can always be that all the members in the house, whether they are 3 members or whether they are 6 members, the work can be delegated. It is our house. So maybe you can do this, or even a little child of 2 years and 3 years. How do you think you can help me? So it can be like, maybe just give a rag cloth and, give a little space where, the child can do that little mopping. So that at least
Interesting.
you know for sure that your child is not really going to disturb you, and the child feels responsible that he or she has helped.
Absolutely, contribution. Yes. Yeah.
Contribution, yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. There's one question from Mr. Khanna. I think we like wrap up after this. He's asking, how can a grown person increase their emotional intelligence? As an adult, can we do something to improve our emotional intelligence?
I really love that question, simply because, see, IQ is a genetic lottery. We can't do anything much about it. But the skills and emotional intelligence are all teachable and learnable.
Yeah.
And there is no age for it. So it's like at any age you can start, and start with being aware. And the minute you're aware, it's the acceptance that I want to change. And there your journey will start, where your neural pathways will change the circuits, and you will form newer patterns for yourself. And definitely emotional intelligence skills can be learned, can be practiced. So you may be 20, you may be 40, you may be 60, or you may be 80. You still can change if you have a mind to change. And that can happen if you're aware. The self-awareness, feeling awareness has to be there, the emotional self-awareness, the literacy, and wanting the shift to happen, or wanting the change to happen. And
So I think so Mr. Khanna is here because he wants some kind of change happening. He's turned up at this session. So where should we go next?
Yeah, so if like inputs from these sessions would be like immediately almost Mr. Khanna, right? If I were to ask you, sir, if you could mute and say, how are you feeling now?
Mr. Khanna is here.
Yeah, well, let me just unmute. Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Yeah,
How are
hello.
No, good, thank you.
Just can I interrupt and help you with a feeling word? You use the word good, but good is not really a feeling word. So based on what we have spoken so far, can you give me a feeling word if you were through the entire session since we started at 6:30?
I normally feel quite happy about everything. So
No, I'm not talking to you about normally. I'm talking to you about just now.
this was informative and
No, that is again not a feeling, sir. So can you tell me what are you feeling? So anyways, not to really catch you on the wrong foot, but it is like, are you feeling?
Are you thinking? Give him a minute.
Are you feeling involved?
feeling what?
Are you feeling more curious to know more?
Yes, more curious, more.
Are you feeling more satisfied? Are you excited about the information that you're getting?
Yes, I'm satisfied and excited, and also looking inward to see where I'm standing at the moment of time.
So all that, like, those are your thoughts, and those are your wanting to put things into action. So what happens is we jump the steps.
Oh.
Right.
So we need to be a little patient, and in fact, impulse control is another very important skill. Okay, that needs to be learned. And what do we mean by impulse control? Today, again, globally, we are seeing not only children, even adults being very, very impulsive.
True, true.
How often can you sit in front of a television without changing the channels, especially when there is an advertisement?
Yeah.
So,
So these days no adverts, Netflix.
so we are becoming very, very impatient, basically.
Correct.
And what happens is, like, because of that, we are not able to delay our gratification. We are in a world where it's the 2-minute noodles, 2-minute instant coffee. So everything is 2 minutes. But unfortunately, emotions don't work that way because they are primal. So
That's right.
there in our body, and we need to address it. We need to identify it. We need to regulate it.
Is this a self-study thing, or it is supposed to be getting some help and training?
Both ways. Today, what we are talking about is actually an overview of what emotional intelligence is and how we can apply it to different walks of our life, and more so how we can be smart with making better decisions related to money. But to answer your question, we do training programs in emotional intelligence. We start with having programs for children in the age group of 5 to 10 years. We have sessions for the 11 to 15 years. We also have programs, a certification program. In fact, we have one going on right now in an online mode. So, and we have.
Can I share some link that maybe Mr. Khanna can go and look for?
Yeah, sure. So our website is equipkids.in.
Equip Kids. I'm just putting it in the chat box.
Yeah.
So kids of all ages, okay?
Yeah, and it's also for adults. In fact, we also have corporate program, which is for corp. So very, very specifically, we have programs where we have leadership programs for the corporates, and like, you know, we have executive EQ coaching and emotional intelligence, why it matters. So a whole lot of, like, you know, maybe I can share with you. If I have your number, I can get it from Bhuvna, and we can share with you all our brochures, e-brochures, if that's going to be meaningful.
That'd be a good starting point, yeah.
Good. That's EQ is just 10 years old. Corporate
It's to correct you, sir. It is 30 years old.
No, what I'm saying is corporates only realize the importance of it about 10 years back.
Yeah, because it takes, like, you know, maybe IQ will help you to get a job, okay? But to maintain yourself in that job, that sustainability and everything, you need emotional intelligence to work in a team, to make better decisions and everything else, and to be a great leader. And talking back about the, you know, when it was, it is over 3 decades. When Peter Salovey and John Mayer in 1990, you know, they introduced the term, and of course, globally it became more famous because of Daniel Goleman's Emotional Intelligence, Why It Matters. But definitely we'll be able to share more details with you, sir, if I can take the number from Bhuvna.
Yeah, I will share that, Sudha ma'am. Yes, we will do that, and a lot of information will be there on that website as well, I'm sure. Thank you, Mr. Khanna, for those interesting questions. And I think it's been one amazing conversation with you. The RAIN technique, the naming to taming, and in these difficult times, how just taking a couple of seconds can just improve the quality of our life, and how it's important to be patient, go through those steps, and recognize and acknowledge and investigate, and then let go. I really appreciate all that you have shared with us, Sudha ma'am, and thanks for being an awesome speaker, and thanks all of you for being here and for being awesome audience and for sharing your
my pleasure. I have a last slide, please, if we can have that as a...
Oh God, I'm so sorry. What did I miss?
So I'm...
Is this the one?
No, one more after that, yeah. So I would just like to share with the audience that emotional competence is the single most important personal quality that each of us must develop, and it is possible to develop, and access to experience a breakthrough. The bottom line is, what message we are trying to give is, EQ is a blue chip investment.
I like it.
In so many things, whether it is life insurance or whether it is so many other where we want to see the dividends, right? And even in your mutual funds, immediately you don't see the results. It is only after a period of time. So like is emotional intelligence skills. Once you start learning it, practicing it, so the dividends of that is definitely going to be multifold, where it also helps you in your personal life as well as in your professional life. So yes, the bottom line is EQ is a blue chip investment. So invest in the EQ bonds.
Good.
Intelligence is a core set skill that underlines performance. So work-wise, if we want to do better, definitely EI is the missing link. And I'm sure with it, we'll be able to do wonders.
Good. So IQ will get you a job, EQ will
Yeah.
grow.
About
Right?
20% of it is because of our IQ, but 80% of it we can say is because of.
I agree. Thank you. I think this was amazing, ma'am. This is great learning, and I really appreciate your time and your effort and you coming here. Thank you so much to all of you for being here. And this brings us, we come back with more such shows, and all these shows are recorded and available on our Facebook page and on LinkedIn and all our social media handles. So please follow us for more such information. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Bhuvna.
Thank you.